the skills, the safe conversation process. So typically when people come to the office, they say something like, we aren't communicating well, or it's our communication. It really often doesn't matter what the issue is. The key is to be able to talk to each other about it in a constructive way. And so the safe conversation process is the key skills that couples need to learn if they're going to be able to discuss anything in a productive way. And I tell people, I say, if you can talk to each other in a safe way, use that. But typically what brings them in the office is they can't. So the safe conversation process, it's a very structured process. It's awkward at first, it's unnatural, but it is in fact the structure of the safe conversation process that ensures safety. And when safety happens, connection can happen. So there's three elements to it: the mirroring, the validation, and the empathy. And the mirroring is simply, it's a reflective process that assures your partner that you've heard their perception and experience of the situation. So before you can respond, you need to mirror back to them what you've heard them say. Just a flat mirror, no add, no subtract. Here's what I heard you say. Did I get it? Is that right? So yeah, yesterday I was at a Tim Hortons drive-thru, and I ordered a small black for myself and a medium decaf with milk for my partner. And immediately the person on the inside says, was that a small black and a medium decaf with milk? Perfect mirror. They mirrored back because they've been taught to make sure that they heard the order correctly to cut down on wastage and mistakes. And obviously they can't see the person who's ordering, and sometimes there's static in the system. But isn't there sometimes static in our communication with our partner? We might be tired or upset or focused on something else. So all we're saying is that the mirroring makes sure that you heard your partner correctly. Come on, if Tim Hortons employees can use it, we can use it, especially if there's a charge on something. So before you respond, it's just making sure you heard your partner. All right. So then the second piece, so the mirroring is the first element. Second element is the validation, and that's a key one. It simply means that you recognize and accept that the other person has also had an experience, and that his or her point of view, while it may be different from yours, has equal validity. What makes sense? That's what you would say, or that's how you would say it. So go back to my Tim Hortons example. The person on the inside, if I order what I ordered, doesn't say, "Hey, don't you want a large double?" Because that's what they like. No, they just repeat back in the order to make sure they heard it correctly. All right, and so in the validation, you want to make sure you hear your partner, and then to try to understand. Okay, it makes sense. That's how they would see it, or they experience it. In doing imago relationship therapy in the space between, Harville and Hull explain the importance of validation. They say, the experience of validation reverses the message we receive from our childhood caretakers and others who, wittingly or not, left us with the impression that we were wrong to feel what we felt, or to want what we want, or to think what we think. And the validation is, it makes sense. That's how you see it. That's what you'd say. Then the last piece of the puzzle is the empathy, which is a communication to the other person that you hear and understand their feelings and that they make sense. So it might be expressed something like, given what you just said, I can imagine you might be feeling ... And you then check it out. Is that right? And I might say, oh, you sound like you're really angry. And my partner might say, well, I wasn't angry so much as disappointed or sad. So then it's your partner's turn. It's a dialogue. So you need to mirror and validate and empathize with them, and back and forth it goes. And honest to God, working with couples for the last 3 decades, I know if I can keep people in a safe conversation process, they'll sort things out. But you can't attack or withdraw. So the safe conversation process is the third element of the combination lock to a successful relationship. It's the essential skill you need to master. You must learn to talk to your partner in a safe way. Obviously, talking is the main way you communicate with your partner. There's always going to be stuff to talk about, all right? So the key is to stop your old reptilian brain from reacting. All right? If your old brain senses danger, it'll react using the fight, flight, or freeze responses. So in a conscious relationship, you want to respond, not react. And the very structure of the safe conversation process ensures that safety. You just want to make sure you're listening to your partner first, make sense that that's how you see it, and here's what you might be feeling. It's a way of talking without criticizing, listening without judging, and connecting through your differences. Okay? So next week we'll look at the last piece of the combination lock, take a brief look at imago relationship therapy and theory. All right, see you next week.